Good evening, and thank you guys for joining me for another episode, another edition of Transformational Tuesday, where on the first Tuesday of every month, we discuss principles and practices to expand your thinking and transform your life. So thank you very much for those of you who've tuned in, who've joined before, and thank you very much for all of those who've reached out to me and said, you know, I really like this platform. It is interactive. So really, I depend on you actually communicating with me. Go ahead and type your comments in the comment box. Go ahead and post questions if you want to. Go ahead and interact with the people who are also commenting. So thank you again for joining me on Transformational Tuesdays. On this Tuesday, I would like us to discuss filters. Filters. When you hear the word filter, what do you think of when you hear the word filter? There are different types of filters, right? We have car filters, we have air conditioning filters, we have coffee filters, we have all sorts of different types of filters. When you hear the word filter, what do you think about? What comes to mind when you hear the word filter? What we do know is that a filter is designed to strain out the good from the bad, sort of, right? There's a filter on my vacuum cleaner. So it's designed to separate from something that is whole or something that is in its rawest or purest form. A filter is designed to separate out the impurities that are found within whatever that substance is. So we have air filters that filter our air and gives us cleaner air, right? We have other types of filters. We have coffee filters. It filters out the grounds and gives us the pure coffee. And so what I wanted to get into was filters and filtering is how many of us make sure that we have filters on what we say? Most of us do, because that's how we were trained. Most of us were trained to be careful and to have manners. And when we're in company of, these set of people, say something or speak in a certain way. When we're in a company of a different set of people, speak another way. And most people who would say that that's not true, they're totally 100% in front of everybody, is usually not telling the whole truth. Why? Because I know most people don't behave on their job place as they behave in their homes. I know most people don't behave when they're out having drinks as they behave when they're in their home around their family. We all have different filters, and we usually behave according to the filters that we apply on different aspects of our lives. And that's just how we were trained. We have developed that. We have been conditioned to do that. And I don't really think anything is wrong with it. The people who are closest to us know us in our rawest, purest form, but then other people see a filtered version based on what it is we're presenting. But how many of us do the opposite? That's for what is going out, right? That is for what we are presenting outwards. That is for what we're showing to people. That is what we're showing to our boss. That is what we're giving to the PTA moms. That is what we're giving when we're in church. That is how we're behaving when we are at the bar. We put on filters for what we give out. But how many times we put on filters for what we take in? And that's what I want to discuss tonight. That's what tonight's topic is about when I talk about filters. We have so many things going on in the world today, right? We have fake news, alternative facts. We have so much negativity. How much of it do we actually filter? Do we put on a filtration to determine what is going to go to our brain and what is going to go to our hearts? Wouldn't it be easy if we had air filters, not AIR, but EAR, air filters, where we can filter things that people say to us and we can rule out what is what are lies. We can rule out what are hurtful. We can rule out things that are not going to help us. But we have to create our own filters, because those air filters, EAR filters, don't exist. And as you go about your life, you're going to run into people, you're going to run into situations where people are going to speak things to you. People are going to speak things into your life, and they mean no good for you. They're only going to hurt you. Now, I teach mastermind groups, and I coach clients as well. And I always tell my clients that they should Ask for feedback. If you are a team leader, ask for feedback. 360-degree interviews, they're really, really good. If you're in a relationship, ask for feedback. Whatever it is that you're doing in life, it's important to ask for feedback. If you're developing your communication skills, ask those around you, how do I communicate? Ask for feedback. That is something that I advocate. However, even though we're asking for feedback, be aware and be conscious that just because someone gives us their feedback and gives us their opinion, that we don't have to take it wholesale. We don't have to take it wholeheartedly. We don't have to take all of their raw information and apply it to our lives. Because if we do, we're going to be in a bad place. Number one, not all people who are giving us feedback, we've solicited feedback from. Many people give us feedback without asking, and that's good and that's bad. There are many people in my life who have given me feedback because I didn't ask it, but I needed it. I needed someone to pull me aside and to pull me up and to talk to me. And there are people in my life who did that for me, and that's great. There are other people in my life who have asked for advice, and they've provided advice as well. But the older I get, the more I realize that we have to filter. Even though we're asking for advice, and even though people may give us advice without our requesting it, we have to filter what we take in. We have to filter whatever it is people tell us. How do we do that? If we know that it's negative about us, that doesn't mean that we rule it all out. I'm not saying if someone gives you feedback about yourself and you don't like it, that you automatically rule it out, that you don't want to listen to it, that it has no place in your brain or your heart because it's negative. That's not what I'm saying. Sometimes the feedback that we get about ourselves that's negative, it's hard to swallow, but it's necessary. It's necessary for our growth. But other times, people are giving us feedback that just their opinion. It's really false, and it's actually really damaging. So how do we develop filters for advice or things people tell us or things that we hear all the time? You put it to a test. You put it to a test. Is it true? Is there any truth to this? Is it any truth that I may be missing? Because oftentimes we think that we have the whole truth, and something that somebody tells us, it can't possibly be true. Ask somebody else. Ask somebody else who you respect. Ask somebody else whose opinion you value. Ask somebody else who you admire. Ask somebody else who you would like to be like, who you're modeling to be like, so that you can test whatever feedback that's given to you. Is it true? Another way to test the feedback that's given to you. Does it help me? Because sometimes people give feedback and I wonder why they give us feedback. I wonder why they give us advice, especially unsolicited advice. They give us advice about ourselves that may be negative, but can't help us in any single way. It is just their opinion that they are then projecting on us. And if we don't have on our air filters, and if we aren't in a position where we can say that this person doesn't have my best interest at heart, this person is giving me information that is negative, this person is giving me information that is useless, and if I take it to heart, or if I allow it to seep into my brain, then I'm going to have a problem. Because what happens? We control what we let into our consciousness. We control it by taking it in. And that's why we need filters. Because after we take in something that is negative about ourselves for years and years and years, what happens? We tend to believe it. If it's something that you've tested, if it's something that you tested and you know that it's true about yourself, then by all means make changes. Make changes. If everybody in your life can say the same thing about you and it's negative, then you need to really check yourself to see how you can make changes to adjust to become a better person. All right? So I'm not necessarily talking about all those things that we've been hearing that we know we need to work on. Instead, I'm talking about in your daily lives, on your jobs, in your places of worship, wherever, where people would just come up to you giving unsolicited advice unwarranted advice that after you have tested it, you realize that it has a negative effect on you. You realize that it has a damaging effect on you, and you realize that it's useless. However, if you don't discard those things from your mind and filter those things out of your mind, what happens is that they become part of your consciousness. They become part of your consciousness. And sooner or later, they become part of your subconsciousness, because you start to accept these things, these beliefs, these opinions from other people who do not mean well from you, from other people who really have no right to really impress upon you the way that they do. So that's what I wanted us to discuss tonight. If you guys have any other ways, share with me. What are some of the ways that you filter what people say? What are some of the ways that you test what it is people tell you, or some of the advice that people give you, or the feedback that people give you? How do you test it to determine whether or not it's important enough to go into your mind, to go into your heart, to go into your consciousness? Think about it. There are so many people who have false beliefs about themselves because of negativity that was spoken to them, because of negativity that was spoken of them. And although verbally they may say, I don't believe it, and although verbally they may publicly, outwardly say that they don't agree with what someone has said about them or what these people have been saying about them, they didn't filter it out. They didn't filter it out. So it's still on their consciousness, and it affects what they do. It affects what they say. It affects how they behave, because they allowed negativity to seep in to their brains and their hearts, and it becomes apparent by the way that they behave and everything that they do. And that's for all of us. That is for all of us. What are some of the things that you've been told that you believed because it came from somebody who was probably somebody who you loved, somebody in your family, somebody who meant a lot to you? What are some of the things that you were told that you started to believe about yourself that wasn't true, that was negative, that only served to damage you? See, I can think of many. Starting in childhood, even into adulthood, on the job, in the workplace, where because somebody doesn't agree with your opinion, because somebody's opinion is different than yours, they say something that's damaging, but they may be in a position of control. They may be in a position of power where you internalize it. You think that it's true, but you didn't use your filters. You didn't test it. You didn't make sure that it wasn't something that you needed to impress in your consciousness. So today I want to share this word about filters, having filters in your life, having filters around you, having filters on your ears, having filters on your brain, having filters on your heart, to protect yourself from people who are not well-meaning, people who will speak and breed negativity into your life, people who would speak and breed dysfunction into your marriage, people who would speak negativity into your family. Because why? I don't know what their reasons are. And it doesn't really matter. What we need to do is that we need to learn to protect ourselves from it. There are some people who we know over and over and over again, they speak negatively into our lives. There may be people who are in our circle groups. There may be people who are in our family groups. There may be people who are in whatever, who we work with. But for whatever reason, we allow them to continue to have this effect on us. Stop it. Filter those people out. And if you can't filter out what they say, filter them out of your life. So for example, some people are just negative. They will never have something positive to say about you, to you, about anybody. But yet still you keep these ties. We all do. We keep these ties with these people for what reason, I don't know. And then we realize after a while that our spirits are never well around them. We never feel good about ourselves around them. When we think about them, we never feel good, but we continue to associate with them. If you can't filter what they are saying to you, and chances are, if you are not close enough to that person, you may not be able to have that conversation. If you are close enough to that person, you can pull them up, especially if they're in your family. You can pull them up and say, you know something? I know that you mean well, but the things that you're telling me are not necessarily true. I know that you mean well, but your negative comments have no meaning in my life because they're not helping me and they can't be used to better my life. Your negative comments are making me feel blank, fill in the blank, and they are not helping, rather they are damaging. There are people in our lives who we need to have this conversation with, but there are other people who we may not be close enough to have this conversation with. So what we need to do, since we can't filter their words, since we can't filter what they say to us, what we need to do is that we need to filter these people out of our lives completely. You see, it's said that you are most like the 5 people who you associate with the most. Who are those 5 people? Who are those 5 people in your life that you associate with the most? Name them. Count them. Count them on one hand. Who are they? Are they negative? Are they pessimistic? Are they people who are bringing you down with their behavior and what they speak into you and speak into your life? If they are, then what's the outcome of your life going to be? Because if you are most like the 5 people, the top 5 people in your life, if you are most like the top 5 people in your life and those people are negative, can you truly live a positive life? Can you truly live a positive life without filtering them out of your life, or without, if they're close to you, making them aware of the impact they have on your life so that they can work on themselves? Think about it. What I want to encourage you to do is to surround yourself with people who are positive, people who are uplifting, people who have the right energy, people who have the right vibes, people who have the right intention, and people who want to see you grow and who want to see you succeed. Because those are the people who are going to speak positivity and life and abundance and increase into your life. Those are the people who are going to look out for you. Those are the people, when you do something wrong, they're not just going to talk about it. See, some people talk about things. They talk about it to you. They talk about it to other people. But the people who love you and who want you to be better and who want you to live in your full purpose and who want you to reach your fullest potential, they're not just going to talk about you. They're going to talk to you. So if you mess up, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, you know what? You did such and such, and, look at things this way. May I? And people who really want to give you good advice usually start, may I offer this? They have a disclaimer, it's my opinion. And you know in your heart, because you've handpicked these people and you've chosen them carefully, that these people really have your best interest at heart. So put some filters on your life. Put some filters on your life. The people who you let into your life. The people who you let into your homes. The people who you let into your family circles. Put some filters on that. Make sure that, like our air filters and our air conditioning filters and our coffee filters, that we're keeping the things, the impurities, the things that we don't want in our lives, that we're filtering them out. Put a filter on your ears, E-A-R-S, to make sure that when we are around people who are speaking negatively, we can instantly either A, shut them down, or we can choose to remove ourselves from the situation. Why? Because negative talk is not going to help you unless you've tested it and it's true and it's something that you can use to improve your life. But you know what I mean about the negative people who just talk negatively, gossip, say bad things, never have anything good to say to you, never have a good word to say to you. Filter them out. Filter the sayings, the things that they're saying out. Filter your brain. Make sure that whatever it is that you're keeping in your head, that there are things that are going to help you. They're not going to be damaging. They're going to uplift you. They're going to grow you. They're going to give you increase. Filter your heart. Filter your heart so that you don't allow people who are damaging to touch your heart. That's what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. Thank you for joining me. I see the comments. Thank you, Tavar and Lisa and everybody else who've joined. And this week, as you go about this week, as you go about this month, as you go about this year, ask for advice. By all means, get feedback, get advice from the people in your circle who you love, who love and care about you, and who want to see you succeed and prosperous. Get their advice. But remember to put on your filters to make sure that you are only filtering out what is necessary for your life, that you are only filtering out what is necessary to your purpose, what is necessary to your potential, what is necessary to your increase. Make sure you put on your filters. Thank you, loves. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your month. And we'll be back on the first Tuesday of next month for another Transformational Tuesday. Be sure to press the share button that is in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, I believe, so that you can share this with others. Thank you for joining me. Love you guys.